So sometimes the universe just has a way of being cruel, but in a way that actually brings about some hope. You see, yesterday, both my high and my low coincide with the exact same thing. And they both involve the fact that I got to go back up to Cuca Lake one more time. And actually, the act of kindness is also involved too, because I helped my dad take care of a couple of things up there. I'll get to that in a second. But as you could probably imagine, yesterday was the last time in 2022 I will be going to Cuca Lake. And it just feels like such a kick in the teeth that yesterday was like the most perfect day you could ever hope for if you're up there. I mean, it was a clear blue sky. It was quiet, so all you could hear was the sounds of nature. Not to mention, the water was so calm and clear, you could actually see the bottom of the lake. I mean, seeing the bottom of Cuca Lake really isn't anything new. In fact, you really are able to do that a lot of the time. But, like, that combination of factors put together just made it all look so impressive. Like, the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. That's what it was. The whole was greater than the sum of the parts. That's what it wound up being. And it was great. And that was just in the afternoon. I mean, that was just in the morning. In the afternoon, I had to go see someone who is, really important to me. And then after that, I went to my folks' place and we had a nice dinner that consisted of a ham, potatoes, a salad that I made, but for dessert. And I finally got a photo of this. My mom made an apple crumble, and it was awesome. And I put copious amounts of whipped cream on it. I mean, normally I would have ice cream too, but we didn't have any ice cream. But it was so good. A nice, delicious apple crumble. Apple crumble. And after that, we just watched TV. We watched The Masked Singer, which of course I'm going to talk about today because that's why I'm here. This was just a good day. Like, I'll be honest, I was going into this week really kind of nervous because the previous 2 weekends were just legendarily great in their own right. Is legendarily a word? I don't know. But they were just so great. And I was really worried, it was just going to, drop off into something that's, at best, mediocre. And I know that's going to, trust me, I know it's going to happen at some point. I know it is. But man, if I'm not lucky, that hasn't happened yet. Because so far, every day this week has been pretty solid overall. Extraordinarily so. I'm almost tempted to actually go play the lottery. I've been having such great luck and having a good day. But there is subject to change. We're still today is only Thursday, which reminds me, happy Thursday, everyone. But even the worst part of the week is over. As soon as you get to Wednesday night and The Masked Singer, and then I do watch a little bit of Guys All in game night, and believe it or not, the Dry Guys Without a Recipe road trip. Wow, watching that is just so awkward now. The boring part of the week is over. We're now slowly but surely getting up to the weekend, and there's just no signs of stopping for all the good things that are coming today. I mean, for starters, we got a new episode of Hot Ones. We have a new episode of Hot Ones today. It's awesome. It's great. I can't believe, I mean, I still have no idea who Kid Cudi is, but you know, that's fine. You know, that's the great thing about Hot Ones. If it's a guest you don't know who it is, you get to learn more about them. That's actually what makes that show great to me. Well, one of the things that makes that show great. I mean, you guys know how I love my chicken wings. And, well, for now, the fact today is a new Hot Ones episode is enough, but I'm sure there's other stuff that's going to happen too. But enough about that. We have an episode of The Masked Singer to talk about, because if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's I am a nerd. I'm proud of that. Nerds are not born, they are made. This nerd was made via watching copious amounts of TV. Anything that was on, I pretty much watched, especially if it was animated. But there were some shows I did watch that were live action, even from decades before I was born. I mean, Nick at Night. Remember when Nick at Night was a thing on Nickelodeon? I think it's still a thing, but like, they really promoted it a lot back in the day, especially in the 90s. And like, you have all these shows like The Brady Bunch or The Wonder Years, like all those shows from way back then. If you grew up watching those shows or having listened to those shows, or even at least have heard of the theme songs from those shows, then last night's episode of The Masked Singer was for you. Because this episode was just absolutely phenomenal in terms of bringing back nostalgia, TV memorabilia, all sorts of crazy stuff. Oh, it was great. I loved it so much. So, this week, the Harp was going to try to continue her reign as queen, and if she won, she got to move on to the semifinals. So next week, we start a whole new group. Okay. I was wondering how this worked. They didn't really specify if there's like any groups or whatever. So apparently there's more than one group. Okay. Although the fact that there's a semifinal means there's either going to be a maybe there's going to be a twist here, Bob, because actually, let me quickly look it up. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 22 contestants, and 7 of them are already out. I mean, yeah, actually, never mind. Well, it's a set of 8, so maybe it works? I don't really know how it works, if we're being honest. But whatever the case, you know, I mean, spoiler alert, the Harp won, which, to be honest, the second I heard the Harp, I'm like, okay, we already have a contender for this season, and the Harp was a contender for this season. She's been great so far this whole season. And yesterday really showed, but the one thing I definitely gotta say is I never really bring up the costume design because, I mean, it's the costumes. They're easily the most memorable part of the show. I mean, what could I say about them that hasn't already been said about them? But even I have to admit, the costumes have really upped their game. And the fact that sometimes the contestants more than one people, like the mummies last night, I'll get to them in a second, or the fortune teller. Like, those are great designs. And just like before, you could never guess who they are until the very end. Although, that does remind me, when the mummies and the fortune teller were unmasked, at least one panelist got them correct. More on that in a second. So, the episode started off with the mummies, it was 3 guys, singing the theme song to the Monkees, which I was actually watching with my mom and dad, and I'm like, do you guys know the song? They were singing along with it. I mean, my folks had a blast watching some of this because these are all songs that, they knew. And then the fortune teller did the Jeffersons theme song, Moving On Up, moving on up, moving on up. Like, that was great. But I knew the harp was easily going to move on to the Battle Royale when she did Thank You for Being a Friend, which is the theme song to the Golden Girls. Love the Golden Girls. Golden Girls are awesome. Love them. Love them so much. Like, TV Land and Hallmark has those Golden Girls marathons. You better believe I watch them whenever I can. Love me some Golden Girls. I've always been considered a Dorothy, by the way. Although, and I'll touch a little bit more on this in a second, but any stars from those old shows that have passed on, they hadn't been watching down and smiling at what was going on. Because I can already tell you right now that Estelle Getty, Rue McCallahan, B. Arthur, and Betty White, they are up there in heaven right now, smiling that the theme song to their show, The Golden Girls, was done justice by the harp. I have to believe that was the case. And speaking of actors looking down, so the Mummies got eliminated first, and it was both Nicole Scherzinger and technically Robin Thicke too, but Nicole said it first. She predicted who the Mummies were. They were Mike Lucaland, Barry Williams, and Christopher Knight, better known as the three boys from the Brady Bunch. I mean, yeah, I watched the Brady Bunch when it was on. I mean, literally, like, seriously, every single one of those old shows, their theme songs are, like, iconic. They are. And if you've never seen, like, the Brady Bunch theme song, like, stop this video, go look it up, and have a listen. Because it's so catchy and fun. And that, like, very evocative of the time. So the Mummies were unmasked, and actually, another really cool thing they were doing, they were getting, well, actually, before I get into that, when the Mummies were unmasked, they actually sang, Lucaland, Williams, and Knight sang It's a Sunshine Day from the Brady Bunch. Come on. It doesn't get any more TV than that. But it actually, yeah, it does, because all throughout the night, as more and more clues kept being presented, they were being presented by Tori Spelling, who was the unicorn from the previous season of The Masked Singer, and darn, who's the middle child from Full House? Jody something? I'm so sorry, I forgot. Well, she was there, and for the Battle Royale, the fortune teller and the harp had to sing Everywhere You Look, which was the theme song to Full House. And when the harp was doing her rendition of the song, it made Ken Jeong cry. Because he thought that, the squiggly monster himself, Bob Saget, was probably looking down and seeing how, that was a show, man. I think I should probably get into my thoughts on Full House while I'm here. I never really thought Full House, there are just some people online who will defend Full House to the bitter end. Others think it's absolute garbage. Now, personally, I never thought the latter whatsoever. At worst, Full House was really just painfully average. At its best, there were some pretty solid moments, if I recall. Because I do remember them tackling some pretty serious issues. And there were moments where you could actually watch and think, wow, that's really cool. Not to mention, I remember seeing the episode, because, Full House has reruns all the time. Everyone knows this. But seeing the develop, for me, what really got me to like it, I didn't watch it religiously, obviously. But for me, one point of interest, was easily John Stamos' character, Jesse, getting married and having kids. Just like that character development, that was really cool. I thought that was really cool. And not to mention Dave Coulier. And this is gonna be so silly for me to say, but one of my favorite running gags is whenever Dave Coulier had the woodchuck puppet. Was it made of wood? I love that. I love that so much. That, I know, it sounds so silly to say now, but yeah, again, I'll be the one to say it here. Full House at worst was painfully average. At its best, let's just say there's a reason why it's iconic. Although I will admit, you do see a lot of, the painfully average stuff. You do. That's just how the show was written. Can you believe, each episode by the time of, by the time the series ended, it was $8 million to make an episode. That's how famous the actors of that show were. Can you believe that? Crazy, huh? Again, I am in no way, shape, or form a Full House apologist. I'm just telling you what I thought I saw, and that's about it. And Full House, where it is, it's good. But enough about that. They're just good. It's not great. It's definitely not terrible. It's just good. Flat out, top line, just good. It's not like the greatest thing in the world. It's good. You could watch it and, have a laugh or two. Which is actually a lot more than I can say for other shows at that time. But enough about that. So, both the Fortune Teller and the Harp did Everywhere You Look, which is a song of Full House. And, to no one's surprise, the Harp won. The Fortune Teller had to be unmasked. And Ken Jeong got this right. It was Damon John from Shark Tank. Yes, the creator of the creator of FUBU, which, what does FUBU stand for? Watch, I'm going to look it up. It's going to be something like For Us, By Us, which actually wouldn't be a bad guess when you think about it. Yes, FUBU. Holy cow, I actually got that right. FUBU actually stands for Us, By Us. Wow. I am just coming up lucky lately, aren't I? So, I really thought it was great when Damon John was unmasked and Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon would actually walk up to, the FUBU people, and Damon John would hook them up. They've known each other for 25 years. That's really cool. And yeah, this is just a great episode of The Masked Singer altogether. Not to mention, it was really, because I remember watching Damon John on an episode of the Club Shay Shay podcast with Shannon Sharp. And he talked about growing up in Queens and how he didn't really have, much growing up. But then he made something which is one of the most popular apparel brand companies ever. So it really does go to show that, with some hard work and some know-how, you can turn your life around and make things better. That's actually what the Jeffersons was kind of supposed to be. I never really watched the Jeffersons because that really wasn't on when I was watching TV. But come on, who hasn't heard the song Moving On Up at this point? So this was just an iconic night of TV nostalgia. And I loved every second of it. Just like I hope you liked this video too. So if you did, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. As always, I am very humble ending this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. And hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. And remember, everybody who wants to talk to channel is going to be here to lend and know. So everybody, take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.